Everyone, I'd like to call the March 21st, 2024 meeting of the Franklin City School Board to order. Thank you all for coming. We apologize for being a few minutes late. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session?
I move that the school board have been in closed session pursuant to the proper motions come out of closed session.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Do we have a motion for certification?
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meetings was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, and now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Again, welcome. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to approve our personnel agenda as presented?
I so move.
Second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Roll call. Ms. Davis, please.
Ms. Boone,
Here.
Mrs. Council,
Here.
Ms. Parker,
Here.
Dr. Scott, here, Mr. Holt,
Here?
Ms. Powell,
Here.
Ms. Johnson,
Here.
Dr. Carter.
Thank you. We have a full board for the first time in many, many months, so thank you all. Good news, Dr. Carter.
So I would just like to highlight through the debate team and the Scholastic Academic Club that we had a Capitol tour that our local delegate took us on, and I just wanted to show you some highlights. As you can see, the kids had a fantastic time, and it was something well worth it. And I just wanted to share a little bit of good news that Delegate Clark is very active in our community, and we would like to thank him for inviting the students of the debate team and the Scholastic Academic Bowl team to the state capitol, and they got to see legislation in action.
That was a great trip, and I know our students learned a lot. Thank you.
All right. Yep. If I can have Officer Martinez, please come up. As you know, as you don't know, the governor honors school resource Appreciation Day. Now, this actually was last month, but Officer Martinez had a scheduling conflict, so we're honoring her today. But before I go into this proclamation, I've been in public education for over 25 years, and I've never seen a more dedicated, invested school resource officer than Officer Martinez. When they say that one person does, I'm not going to use the term, one person can't stop the show, you can stop the show if you are missing. There is no one that I have ever seen that's been so invested and take pride in what she does. So I just want you guys to know that Officer Martinez is special. By certificate of recognition, by virtue of authority vested by the Constitution of Virginia and the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, there is hereby officially recognized School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. Whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia is dedicated to making schools safe for all students, faculty, staff, and the communities they all serve. Whereas school resource officers are critical members of the education community, dedicated their lives to keeping students and schools secure. And whereas that over 1,000 exceptionally trained, dedicated men and women in law enforcement who serve school resource officers in our elementary school, high schools, providing support and encouragement, serving as role models, law enforcement officers, and educators. And whereas school resource officers serve across the Commonwealth as partners with school staff to ensure students have a safe place to learn. And whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia has one of the longest running, most robust school resource officer programs in the nation. Now, therefore, I hereby, Governor Glenn Youngkin, do hereby recognize February 15, 2024 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance in the attention of all our citizens. Congratulations, Officer Martinez.
I appreciate the recognition. I don't really like being, but you can come up if you want. I'm like watching him in my corner of my eye. I love what I do, and I'm glad that other people see that too. I don't really know what else to say. I appreciate it, so thank y'all.
Where am I on the agenda? Building trades. Okay. Will building trades please come up?
So I brought with me tonight 4 students in our building trades program, which was brought back to life thanks to you and Coach Lease coming back out of retirement. They made something for you for School Board Appreciation Month. It was still being perfected during the month of February, but we definitely want to get it to you. It's a lantern for the next time you go camping or whatever is on your agenda. I'll let them talk more about it in a minute, but this is just one great example of the great things that are going on at Franklin High School. And I feel like I need to say that again. This is just one great example of the great things that are going on at Franklin High School. These guys love it. They don't talk much. They ask me to talk for them. I'll let Coach Lee say a few words about the project they did. But I asked them, we want to kind of make something homemade for you like we've done before to show our appreciation for all that you do for the students in Franklin City Public Schools. Coach Lease.
I'm not much of a speaker, but I'm better doing things with my hands. But I appreciate y'all bringing the program back. Mr. Phelps came to me about trying to get back. Yes, I'm only part-time. I want to stay part-time. But these young, it's not about me, it's about these kids. And these kids, they're amazing. They don't talk. That's the only problem I had with them. I mean, you try to do a lesson, you can't get nothing done, but you give them a project to do, and they don't stop working. They are also, I don't know if you've been in the library, they're redoing all the chairs and the furniture. They haven't been done since 1971. So they're getting all new tops and sanded down, so these kids really, really work hard, so it's all about them. So they're doing a good job. I hope you all enjoy these lanterns. In case next time electricity goes out, and we appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Dave, we enjoyed the reindeer at Christmas.
Yes, they were awesome. Loved them.
Appreciate it.
These are neat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, and just keep supporting us. We appreciate it.
Good job, guys.
Okay, I'm pleased to introduce a new member to our family, actually a returning member to the FCPS family, and Dr. Maurice Miner is our new Director of Human Resources. And she was with us, I believe, back in 2012 to 2014, and she was our District Director of Testing. So please, Dr. Miner, come up. Let's welcome Dr. Miner.
I'm short, so. Dr. Carter, school board members, my name is Dr. Maurice Miner, and yes, I am a returning faculty staff member of Franklin City Public Schools. I started my education career in 1999 in Norfolk, Virginia, where I served as a middle school math teacher, department chair. I was an ITRT school transformation facilitator, as well as the school testing coordinator. I came to Franklin City Public Schools as a division director of testing, and then I went to CSEP as division director of testing, and I started cross-training, and I've been in HR for the past 3 years. I am so happy to be back at the city of Franklin. I am so happy to serve this community. I am here for the community, and I'm here for you all. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right, Dr. Walters, operations.
Good evening, board. Special good evening, Dr. Scott. Excited to have you continue your advocacy for children on our board. So good evening.
Thank you.
We're going to keep the good news rolling. I'm excited to be able to present another ABCD, Above and Beyond the Call of Duty Award. And this month, our recipient is Miss Marsha Parker, the cafeteria manager at Franklin High School. And the nomination, yes. And the nomination reads, Ms. Parker runs an efficient and professional cafeteria. Along with her team, she makes sure our students have healthy and appealing meals. On most days, students have 5 choices of meals to eat for lunch, their daily entree, pizza, salads, subs, and the snack bar. She also makes sure that our students have choices for breakfast and provides meals and snacks for our Friday SOL and CTE academies. She leads her team in a professional manner and treats our students with love and respect. So we're excited to present our certificate and the $50 gift card to Ms. Marsha Parker. I don't believe that she's with us this evening, but I'll make sure that she gets this first thing tomorrow. So again, one more time for Ms. Parker. So my next presentation is on our capital improvement plan, and this is intended to help drive some of the work that we have ahead of us, due both to our aging infrastructure, but also because we're trying to make sure that the facilities that we have for our students match the innovative ideas that we're bringing into the classroom. So capital improvement plans help both school boards and local governing bodies plan for some significant work that needs to be done. And these plans typically span 5 to 10 years just to provide for adequate planning. There are 2 primary methods that local governing bodies can use to help school divisions fund this work, because as a school division, we don't have borrowing authority. So we have to lean into our governing body for that assistance. And the two ways that they can help us are through revenue attributed to the operating budget, which we're going to see in just a little bit that they did just that at their last city council meeting. But the other way that they can do that is through debt service. And the best way that I can explain debt service is it's like your mortgage, where we borrow money and then we pay that back in monthly installments. So what I have for you is a plan for FY25 through FY29. And that will be reviewed annually because needs do arise and take priority. As much as we want to plan things out, sometimes there are emergencies that need our immediate attention. So our next slide is the capital improvement plan for FY25. And you'll see that that does include phase 2 of the roof renovations at the elementary school and the high school. We just received word early this week that the literary loan applications were approved for us, so we're very, very excited to be able to move forward with the next phase of that work. We also have listed the HVAC renovations at the elementary school, restroom renovations at Franklin High School. We will need to update the fire suppression system at JPK as we plan to move our culinary arts program to that facility. We are budgeting for one traditionally fueled bus, and one of the things that came to my attention as I was reviewing our shelter plan with the city, JPK is a secondary shelter. In the event that we had an emergency and needed to open that up for our citizens. But one of the obstacles that we currently have in our way is that we don't have a generator at that facility. And it's important that we treat our backup site as if it's our primary site. We've got to get a generator there. So that's one of the things that we'll need to have some conversation with the city about how they would like to partner to make that happen. But in the event that we'll need to purchase that, I have estimated about $100,000. So the capital improvement plan for FY25 is about $3.6 million, but that does include ESSER funding. It also includes literary loan funding. For FY26, we are planning to repair and resurface the teacher parking lot at Franklin High School. That is something that really needs some attention. And if there are other funding streams that open up prior to FY26, that is something that we'll look at moving up. We also need to upgrade the HVAC in the gymnasium at the high school. And we'll need to finish phase 2 of the HVAC renovations at the elementary school. We're also looking to resurface the track and the tennis courts at the high school. And those projects total $1 million. For FY27, we're proposing to purchase a traditionally fueled bus. At that point, we would like to expand our CTE offerings if we have the opportunity to move our programs to the middle school, at which time we would need to reconstruct a greenhouse. And based on a comparable greenhouse that we have at the high school right now, that's estimated to be about $38,000. And we would also look to budget for a work truck with a lift on the back for our maintenance team. So FY27 is significantly reduced from the previous fiscal years at just under $250,000. We don't currently have any capital improvement plans budgeted or scheduled for FY28, but in FY29, we would like to purchase another traditionally fueled school bus. And so what I hope that you're seeing is that we're trying to address the aging fleet by purchasing a bus about every 2 or 3 years. Just a reminder from some previous presentations, Your average life for a bus is 12 to 15 years, and even when we receive our electric buses that we should have within the next 2 to 3 months, still more than half of our fleet is over that lifespan. So we're trying to get a cycle established as we move forward. Next slide, Ms. Davis, and one more, please. So over 5 fiscal years, we have planned out just over $5 million that will be necessary to address these needs. And as I said earlier, we're going to continue to monitor the needs that we have in the district, and we may need to move items up or back just depending on available funding and priorities as we're moving forward. But again, this really is through 2 different lenses. It is through the lens of dealing with our aging schools, but we also need to make sure that our spaces are innovative for our innovative instruction that's going on as well. So I'm requesting that the board adopt our capital improvement plan as presented from FY25 through FY29. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, taking into the consideration that we're getting these new buses, we do have to destroy some buses, correct?
Correct. For each bus we receive, we have to destroy a bus.
Okay, and then you're saying we're gonna get a bus every 2 years? Just saying, every 2 to 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
But then also, we're adopting a new schedule, a new calendar. And the calendar says that we need more buses also. So is this also placed in with the buses every 2 to 3 years?
We're keeping a very close eye on our ADM and the caboose funding that we would receive following the March 30th collection. We're looking very favorable right now. So we are anticipating some additional funding. We're always very conservative when that comes around, but we are anticipating being able to use some of that funding to purchase 1 school bus. That really would address the need as we go into the next school year.
Okay.
But to continue with that, even when we get that 1 bus, we're really at a point now where we don't have a lot that we can even lean on if 1 is in the shop.
Right.
So that it's
Right.
going to help us to address this. It's just going to take some time.
So what is our time frame when we receive our new electrical buses? How quickly do we have to destroy that bus? Are they giving us 3 months, 6 months, 30 days, 90 days, or are they giving us, we dropped it off Monday, so we need to destroy it by Wednesday?
That's a really good question. I'll need to look at that agreement. I don't have that date right off.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the cost estimates for 26th and 27th based on today's dollars or projected dollars, do you think?
They're very, very good question. So the HVAC renovation, for instance, is based on a quote that we received from a local vendor, and that was just a few months ago. So it's really based on today. Now, the resurfacing of the tennis courts, for instance, I know that we had a local charity that helped fund that most recently. I did put that into an inflation calculator to get the cost. I think about 2017 we received grant funding, and that was about $35,000. The inflation calculator estimates that would now be about $50,000. So that's how I went through to gather these estimates.
I think that's all we can do at this point.
Yes, sir.
This is a lot cheaper than building a new school.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, some people might be thinking these are really high numbers, but a new school is like $100 million, so we've got to take care of what we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we want to vote on each one, or can we vote when Dr. Walters finishes? Why don't you do the other two and we'll see how it goes?
Yes, sir. So the next presentation that I have is the Mod C RFP. On March 1st, FCPS released an RFP soliciting bids for design, build, and install of a modular unit that would provide us with 8 classrooms and centrally located restrooms behind SP Morton Elementary School and adjacent to the more recently placed Mod A. At the close of that window, we did receive 2 bids from vendors, Nadler Modulars and Wilmot Modular Structures. The bids were very, very close, which I took as both being very competitive, but the price is also pretty accurate, I believe. What I did when I presented this information to Dr. Carter was I took the bids and I made them as apples to apples as possible. So there was, with Nadler Modulars, the bid included the cost of the structure and installation, and then it had add-on cost that would allow us to place the modular unit on concrete footers. We would definitely want that option if we were to pursue that agreement, just based on the experience that we had the last time, the more recent time that we built Mod A. With Wilmot, their bid included the cost of structure, placement of concrete footers, and installation, but for them, the ramps were bid out separately, where with Nadler Modulars, those ramps were included. So I made everything as apples to apples as possible. And when you look at those bids, there's a $7,000 difference. That's when I say that they're very competitive, that's a very competitive price. But based on the information that we received from those 2 vendors, it is our recommendation that the board enter into a contract with Wilmot. They were the Mod A provider and did come in with the lower bid. And that would be funded out of ESSER 3.
So are they also going to do the HVAC insulation and everything else? They're going to do it all together?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that also in the bid?
Yes, ma'am. All of that is included.
Will they do the restructuring, the structuring of the water pipelines and all of that? So they're going with
Right.
everything?
So with Wilmot's bid, they're including service agreements that would take care of that. We would be responsible for the permitting and working with the city to make sure that we had everything lined up for them, but they would be responsible for that work.
What about the concrete footers?
Yes, ma'am. So Wilmot, because they placed Mod A, they're very familiar with the need for those concrete footers. That work is included in their bid as well. So I feel confident that Wilmot is providing the most competitive price, inclusive of all the services that we're going to require. And these bids will have this available prior to the start of the school year.
It says the ramp, included the ramp cost separately, but is that in that 9?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
is that, okay.
Yes, so, oh, you're fine. No, I put both of those bullets just to explain what I had to do to make both bids apples to apples.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, weapon scanner.
At the March 11th Franklin City Council meeting, council approved funding to support the purchase of 2 weapons scanners. That would allow us to have 2 scanners in each of our 3 schools. A quote from Alliance Technology Group was secured to include the purchase of the scanner, software licensing, installation, training, and some ancillary replacement parts, and that totals $152,653. And because the cost exceeds the threshold that we can spend without your permission, we're bringing that to you this evening for your consideration. And again, I would just say that I do appreciate council's work with us on getting those items available so that we can continue to keep our students safe.
What is the pleasure of the board? Do you want to take them separately or as a group?
I just had, wanted to circle back to the capital improvement plan. I understand that, we're considering, the shift between the schools. And we had talked about repurposing the use of the gym at the middle school. And a couple of the extracurriculars had been displaced because of Charles Street Gym. Have both of them found a home now?
So very recently, I spoke with the wrestling coach about placement of the mats at the middle school's gym. And the robotics team already has a place at JPK that we're currently planning around. So we are able to accommodate both of those teams.
Okay, because I just heard as recently as this weekend that somebody had thought that this was the final season for the robotics team, and I just wanted to make sure that that was not true.
That's not my understanding. And we are planning for them to have a space at JPK.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Because I didn't see anything in that capital improvement plan, and I just wanted to make sure that we did in fact have a space for them.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thank you.
Certainly.
Do we have a motion from the board?
I move to approve all of the recommendations.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Walters.
Yes, sir. And the last thing that I have this evening is a presentation of the academic calendar. We
Finally approved one.
I think that we're in a really good place with this calendar. It helps us, I think, get the best of both worlds, meeting the needs of the elementary school, meeting the needs of the high school. We do have FHS's graduation listed on there, so thank you for that feedback as well. But it is, it's our recommendation that we approve this calendar if you so choose.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve this calendar.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Second. There's a lot of time has gone into this calendar. I just want the community to know this has not been a quickly developed calendar.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of input.
Probably a lot of Tums as well. Olays, whatever else.
A handful.
You've borne the brunt of all of the people's comments.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor of approving the calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We both seconded it, Gary.
You can give it to Arwen.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Morrison.
Dr. Carter, School Board, good evening. I'll be here to present the February financials. Once I go through the February financials, I do have some budget amendments, and then I also have a couple of first read items. So at February 29th, our general fund, we had collected 64% of our revenues. We've expended 61% of our budgeted expenditures. And you'll notice that we do have over 67% for transportation, operations, and maintenance. And that will be offset by instruction and admin. And the initial projections that have been put together for the end of fiscal year 24 do show that the budget is going to be right on budget. Okay. In the textbook fund, we still have $20,000. For the nutrition fund, we have not collected what we anticipated in revenue due to lower number of meal sales. The $80,000 there that we're in a deficit is intentional. The Department of Education requires us to keep no more than 3 months' worth of cash on hand, and so that we were intentionally reducing expenditures to reduce that fund balance. When we look at federal grants, we're right on track with those as well. We've collected 49% of the revenues, and we've expended 45% of the expenses. Next slide. And that brings us in at an overall total of 57% collected and 54% expended. The next section is going to be the vouchers for February. If you could go through those slowly, Ms. Davis. Questions on the vouchers? Okay. The next thing I'll do is go through several proposed budget amendments, and then I'll ask for a motion at the end of that. The first budget amendment I have is what Dr. Walters was referring to for the security scanners in schools. The amount is $152,653, and the city has verbally approved that. Next slide. This is for our Title I allocation. We received $19.60 more. Next slide. This is for our RIPE allocation. We had initially been allocated $110,000. We spent $55,000, and they reduced our allocation by $55,000 as well. So we need to reduce that from our books and from the city's records. Title II, we got $56.60 less than what we anticipated. We had a driver incentive grant in 2023, and $678.70 remained that expired, and DOE has asked for those funds back. The next set of budget amendments is a special education allocation. For the special education, it decreased by $14,069.60. For the CCEIS portion, increased by $363.60. And the preschool allocation increased by $53. And I recommend that the school board approve these budget amendments as presented.
Can you go back to page 19 and explain to me what was that driver? What is that driver incentive decrease? What actually is that?
It was an incentive for bus drivers that was granted in 2023, okay. And we spent all of it except for $678.70.
And I do have another question about this one. Accounting is not my thing, but decreases in all the other ones have been noted by parentheses, and I noticed that this doesn't have parentheses. Does that matter or does it not?
When I send it to the city, I will put the parentheses, yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
The next budget amendment I want to talk about separately is, it was sort of last minute since we just learned that the second round of literary loans have been approved. So this budget amendment is to increase revenues for the $2 million and increase expenses at each school by $1 million.
When you say each school, you mean the elementary school and the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I recommend this be approved as well.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
So I have two other topics. One, CSEP, Southeastern Community Education Program. They we pay them tuition for our special needs students every month. And at the end of each year, the districts that participate in this program, if there's any revenues left over, the CSEP holds them in our name. We currently have $148,000 that they have held in our name. And we have the option of requesting some of those funds back to offset the cost of either exceptional education, upgrading technology, or just offsetting the tuition for the exceptional education. And we must maintain a cash reserve of 10% of the budget. In the meantime, go down a little bit. Dr. Carter received a letter from Suffolk Public Schools Superintendent Dr. John Gordon, and he is writing on behalf of CSEP. CSEP is renovating a Suffolk location on the Suffolk campus, and he is asking for $92,000 of those funds be allocated towards equipment and furniture that need to be placed in the new space. So this is presented to you as a first read. We need to consider how much we want to request, if any, and how much we want to grant in request to have the furniture covered.
Is it normal for their needs to be funded by school districts like this?
Yes, from the districts that participate.
There are students who go there to their school.
I was talking about the facilities, not the tuition.
That's
So
a new facility.
So that's a normal way to create their spaces that would
Right.
contribute to its cost. Okay.
Yes.
So that's first read?
That's first read.
Okay.
Okay.
And one final topic. This relates to Virginia Retirement System deductions. We have drafted a letter to send out to our employees explaining these changes. So Virginia Retirement System has mandated that we withhold and submit to them deductions on a monthly basis. We currently, for 10-month employees, deduct those over 10 months. So in the summer, there's no deductions. But due to this IRS and VRS regulation change, we'll now have to withhold them each month. So the paychecks for the summer months for 10-month employees will be a bit less, but their paycheck during the year will be increased to offset that. And then also the 403B is similar. We have to, beginning July 1st, take deductions every month, and then the July and August deductions will just assist the member in increasing their contribution. This is presented as a first read and just to make the board aware of these changes.
Question, and I think it's probably about the third paragraph down. Is that supposed to say, but September through June net pay will increase instead of decrease? Yeah, I think that should say increase. Right now it says, be mindful that this change will cause a slight decrease in July and August net pay, but September through June net pay will decrease. Shouldn't that say increase? You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because their net pay is going to go down in the summertime.
But it
But I'm
says,
saying, but it says, but September through June net pay will decrease. Shouldn't that say?
Yes, increase.
I just wanted to make
Yes.
sure.
so did this letter go out today?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a
This is
make
just a proposed letter for the board to be aware.
sure. Okay.
Okay.
But we would like to notify the employees, prior to the summertime arriving.
Gotcha. Because it was dated today. Actually, it's dated last year, so
Oh,
that might need to change too.
yes, I'm glad I presented this draft. That's all I have. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for me, Mr. Holt.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. We have one person for citizens' time, Mr. Phelps.
This is my first time doing Citizens Time. I had to get Ms. Davis to tell me how to sign up. So let me pull up my notes here. I'm here tonight representing, I'm a board member of the Franklin Community Wall of Excellence, and so is Dave Lease, who left, and so is Waverly Lawrence in the back, and they're also, Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence are on the Franklin Community Wall of Excellence. They were inducted last year. So I wanted to make sure everyone in the community, not just board members, knows that we have opened up the nomination process for the 2024 class. I gave you a flyer at your seat, so hopefully you can consider some of the many people that went to Franklin High School or Hayden High School or contributed to Franklin High School or Hayden High School as possible people that could be recognized by the wall. It's been a very successful community endeavor ever since 2017, but we do need more nominations, and we need them coming from a more diverse pool of not just people on the board nominating people, but the whole community. So we did some revamping today of our flyer. Not only can you do this nomination process by sending an email to me or Nancy Parrish, but you can also go online on the Franklin City Public Schools website, and it's under Franklin High School, and you can scroll down to Wall of Excellence on the tab that says All About Us, click it and nominate, or starting today, we have a QR code that you can just use your phone, and it'll take you straight to the nomination form. We appreciate your support of this program. You would be very impressed to know all the people that have already been inducted into the Wall of Excellence that have contributed and, come through our school division. But there's a lot more people out there that deserve recognition. And it's not so much about honoring those people, which it is about that, but it's also about bringing the community together and just celebrating our proud history in Franklin and in Franklin City Public Schools. So help us spread the word. Maybe you're not the one that's going to make the nomination. Maybe you give it to someone who is more familiar with the history. But we also don't want to forget our younger generation, because you only have to be 10 years out of high school to be considered. And I'm the youngest one on the committee, we discovered last night, and I'm 51 years old. So we need to get our young people more involved in this program as well. So anyway, thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. One thing I forgot to do when I was up here earlier was, and I know they're gone now, and I feel terrible, but I never introduced our students. In their absence, we had Mr. Braden Jackson, Ashad Lee, Thomas Hughes, and Braden Jackson, Jeremy McBride. So we appreciate their parents letting them come out tonight to represent Building Trades. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Couple of announcements. I had schools will close March 29th, reopen again April 5th. As of this moment, our next board meeting will be April the 11th, probably at 6 o'clock. And we're also scheduled to meet with City Council after that to talk about our budget. I don't know about the other board members, but I've been involved in the strategic plan, and I know you have, and my group, the instruction group, is really coming up with some good ideas and things. So I hope your groups are progressing as well. Yep. Officer Martinez, congratulations again. Thank you. She's a real asset. Board members, anything else?
Thank you to everybody who worked so hard.
Again, welcome to Dr. Peggy Scott. Glad to have her. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I so move.
Second.
Wow. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.